good few times on videos I've mentioned Orthotape. It's basically a casting tape, sort of the modern plaster of Paris really, for when folk break their arms or whatever they're managing to snap. You can use this with the appropriate stockinettes and plasters and bits and pieces to immobilise the wound, I guess. But what I've been using it for is to take castings of limbs. I've done a couple of body casts now. Limbs, the only one I haven't done is a head and shoulders cast, but I have seen somebody do it, so it does work. It's worth mentioning as well, I didn't sort of discover this. The pioneer of this, at least as far as I was aware, was a chap called Fred Reel. I've never learned how to say Fred's surname, Royal. I don't really know, sorry Fred. But Fred is a fellow armourer from Liverpool. And he's he's annoyingly young, so when he reaches my age he'll have, heavens knows, 30 years experience in armouring, and he's already fantastic. So I would check out his stuff. I'll put a link in the comments below, because he's worthy of being checked out for his work, and also for I don't want to steal the glory for discovering this. So the purpose of this video is just show how simple it is to use, because a few folk I've spoken to in the past, customers, I've asked if they could take the castings as well as the measurements. It's worth stating though that this, I personally, I don't like to use this as a replacement for measurements. Measurements are still required for patterns and for accurate making. What this does is it gives you a sort of ready reckoner in the workshop, and perhaps that first fitting if you're doing fittings with your customer. So it comes in these plastic wallets, I guess, with an easy tear strip there. This is made by Orthotape, I think, but there are other versions out there. You're just looking for fiberglass casting tape really, and see how you get on. I have found with Orthotape that they can vary basically in how well they work. The first few times I did this I got covered in the glue and swore I'd wear latex gloves from then on, but you'll see in a minute this purple stuff, I don't know if it's colour related or just this batch, it's not quite as gluey as the previous ones were, so sometimes they can come unstuck. So it's worth mentioning, if you're basically interested in the person's, here he goes, my glamorous assistant, my wife. If you're interested in that section of the limb, cast well past it, because it can unravel a bit towards the ends. But thank you very much. So, first thing is I've got this stockinette. It's basically sort of like cheap t-shirt material. Again, I'll put links in, but it's made by Orthotape, and this is their 3-inch polyester stockinette. This just gives a bit of substructure to what you're putting around, but I do have found that the scissors that you buy for cutting the casting tape struggle with the stockinette. So pay your money, you take your chances really. So thank you very much. So what we've got is a bowl of sort of warm water. It's just sort of washing your hands warm. We'll open this up. You don't have too long with it. Don't throw it in there thinking that'll be fine in a couple of minutes. It'll have gone off and it'll be solid. So you just give it a couple of good squeezes, get it all moving, get the moisture in amongst it all, and you will end up dripping on whatever surface you're working in. So this is why we're in my kitchen. We've cleaned this bit up. The mess is everywhere else. So there we go. And again, I'm not going to go into any bind wounds and so on. It's not the purpose of this. Normally I'll go around the thumb, but for brevity and speed's sake I'm not going to go and bother. So a couple of times around, quite close knit on the cuff, and don't crank this on as though you were trying to save somebody's limb from being broken. You need to be able to get scissors and bits and pieces in here later. I find a sort of 50% at least overlap works. One of their 2-inch strips will basically give you enough for from the ulnar cap down here up just past the elbow. So you just keep rolling, touching it in as it's going. Get a bit of time till it's gone solid. You can possibly, there's a bit of tack there, but it's just not as tacky. Now, talking to some of the others, it might just be that it varies from batch to batch because they've had similar results. Just work it around. Remember, this is just a ready reckoner. It's not a replacement for the measurements. I've probably gone a bit tight here, so this is going to be fun cutting it off with the scissors later, but hey ho. it's my wife, so she has to put up with it, whereas if it's a customer, be kinder to them. Here we go. So we'll just go up, and again what I was saying before is to make sure you go past wherever you need to. I'm going to sort of stop around here. I'm not going to bother going beyond the elbow, just because it's grief we don't need. So we'll just get that around there just so we can hold it a bit easier. Come down a bit. Thank you. Now what I tend to do, I haven't brought any with me, is you just get a bit of masking tape, a bit of string, anything, just tie it around there, and that will hold that to that position. Now as it starts to cure, which is what's happening now, you can mould it, so if you're on the elbow you can actually shape it into the elbow. Down here on the ulnar cap, oops, sorry, I'm cracking my wife's wrist there. Just here on the ulnar cap, I want to get a bit of shape in there, and there we go. So, got to wait now for about 5 minutes or so, just till the moisture goes. To the touch it's warm, it's not like baking hot or anything like that, it just feels pleasantly warm. Underneath sometimes it can feel warm, sometimes it can feel a bit chillier because the heat's being drawn out, I suppose, I don't know. So I'm just holding that there, but it's not important if this bit comes away, I'm not too bothered. So just while I'm waiting for that to warm, it might be my inexperience with this. I mean, these are the instructions you get with the pack, if you can see that in this light. Basically, stick it in, get it to bubble, pull it out, get the water out and wrap it. And what I've discovered towards the end here is it's dry now, but it was sticky enough to start putting the glue on my fingers, and when I've done this in the past and had real success with it, my hands were caked in it. It was horrid stuff, and it was absolutely horrendous to get rid of. But it might be that, so I don't want to sort of diss Orthotape, it might be I'm not squeezing enough of the water out, and as a result the reaction is being cooled a bit. I'd have to go online and see if there's anything there, but that's what we've found so far. Now the way I check this to see if it's starting to go off is just give it a tap, and you can possibly hear, you get a feel for it as well where it's almost solid. So a couple more minutes and then we'll see if we can cut this arm out of this. So this is, yeah, going off nicely. It's a bit tight there, it's a bit tighter than I would like to have done. You don't quite want it sort of finger tight, you want it a bit tighter, sort of half a finger's width tight, so that you can get the tools and the bits and pieces in here to cut this off more readily, like that. There's an injury from the workshop on my wife's finger now. I say that so I can do a shameless plug. I'm hoping, oh, lost my fingers, about here somewhere. I'll put a link up to Liz's work. She makes metal flowers, and one day one of them bit back. So we're almost there. We'll give it a couple more minutes and then we're done. Hardened off nicely here, a little bit squishy here, but that's probably because the glamorous model is also squishy there and not there, like most of us. Oh. Right, so you can see here where I've done this bit, it's not bound on very well, and that's why I normally would tie that on and stick it down. Glue doesn't work so well. We found that hot and cold glue guns work reasonably for repairs. So the first thing I do before I go cutting, I won't worry about that bit so much, we'll get rid of that eventually, is start at the top and just draw some continual lines along the surface. They don't have to be straight, just on there. And what this does is, if it does unravel, either as we're cutting it or over time, because it might be a couple of weeks, or like most armourers, a couple of months before I get to make whatever this has been cast for, it means that I can repair it and rebuild it because I've got a registration. Without that, I don't know if the person's arm was that big, this big, whatever. It can be a mess. Now, you can buy really cheap, sort of £2 a pair scissors, but they tend to have quite a broad blade, sort of like this one on the bottom, and that jabs right into the person as you're cutting. So these surgical ones cost, I think, about £30, and they're blunting off a bit now, so I will struggle a little bit, and I'm going to have a go at sharpening them again in the workshop. But for the moment we'll just make do. The bit they tend to struggle with more than anything is the material, the stockinette. So I've got a razor blade sharp pair of scissors here that I'm going to open up my wife's arm with on camera, and if that fails, what we have over here is a pair of child safe scissors with these nice rounded edges from my wife's childminding days. The idea here is to cut the stockinette and the casting tape off together. Sometimes though you've got to run down the casting tape and then run back on the stockinette, and it will still be just about bound in other places. So we'll give it a try. So I'll start it off. What I'll do is, that's almost where I'm going to cut, so I don't want my registration line to actually be my cut line, so I'll just slap in another line there. So we'll start it off like that. It'd be great to just run those along, but there'd be a lot of blood and veins and gore at the end, so my wife apparently wants all that stuff.
Yeah.
So now you can see it's the stockinette that slows the scissors down, and now this is where I've gone about as tight as you can possibly go with this and still get it cut off. Bearing in mind this was medical, there'd be lots of padding and bits and pieces under here, and this is cut off even with like a medical grinder, because you're a good sort of quarter of an inch, half an inch away from the person. So that's why we're using the scissors, but my scissors have sort of gone from being razor sharp to sort of just mashing their way through what's in front of them. So let's see how we get on with these. If we're not, we'll go with plan B. Which is to ignore the stockinette. You can see how it's just not manly enough for the stockinette, and we're having to chase that with these. And these aren't manly enough for the casting, so you can't unfortunately push your way on. So it can take a bit of time, particularly when we're trying to do this at weird angles for the camera. Right, so I'll just cut that away so I'm not fighting it. Yeah, I think these scissors have just about reached their time. But you can see how I was saying, make sure you go well past where you're casting, because this top stuff does tend to unravel. But if you can keep it there, and I'm cutting now above the stockinette, trying to at least. There we go, you sort of find the sweet spot. I'm going to lose that top bit, I suspect. Oh. Okay. So what I'm doing now is ignoring the stockinette. Might have to stick with the first one. Yeah, that's all just coming apart. So, tell me if I'm right, well, pushing on. I've been reading all about continuation bias today, and I feel this video may be a bit of a continuation bias. I don't know. I was hoping to show a smooth demonstration of how to use this stuff, but because the scissors are blunted out, and this stuff isn't quite as gluey as some of the stuff I've used in the past, it's a little unraveled and a bit, see, I can do things like this, it's a bit sort of come to pieces. But what it does mean is I get to show how easy they are to repair. So let's try and take the good with the bad, rough with the smooth, and we'll see what we can do. So I have here my daughter's cold, I can't remember, it's not a hot glue gun, it's more of a sort of a soft glue gun or cold glue gun or something. So those lines we drew on before, those registration lines now become very important to us. So what we're doing is we're finding where they go. So it means I can keep the length of the limb or whatever it is where it needs to be. Now normally you wouldn't have this much coming away. This is a combination, like I say, of blunted scissors that I'm going to learn how to sharpen tomorrow, and this not being quite as gluey as the last stuff, but still good enough with a little bit of care. So I can see there, so all we do is just pop in a good blob of the melt, find the space it needs to go on, and the reason I use not the hot glue gun but the colder stuff is because, get it on my fingers, I'm not now screaming in agony. Give it a little smear around, help it key in, glue in, get the stockinette, if I can, into it at the back, there we go, and give it a squeeze. And there you go, you can see now how that's coming together. And because it's just a hot glue gun or a cold glue gun, this stuff just peels off, so you're not caked in glue forever. And it's as straightforward as that. Find your next bits. There's another one down here. Look. Open it up a little bit more than perhaps you'd like it to. Get a blob of the glue in there. Check where it actually needs to be. Give it a squeeze. There we go. So there we go, turn that around your way. So just a couple of minutes there with the glue gun, I'll turn that off. Like I say, I was hoping to do a really slick presentation on how it all works really well. And you can see there with a couple of duff tools and things not going as well as you'd like it to, it can be a little problematic. And I've probably waffled quite a bit because I was disappointed. But what it has shown is how easy they are to repair. Now all of this cold glue stuff here, it doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. I've got the shape that I need. That's around there, of, in this case, a forearm. You push it into the limbs, into the bones, and you get the bits and pieces you need. But you can see how it's reasonably straightforward to do. Don't worry about this, that really doesn't become important because the sides butt together. You could, I was just testing there at the end before I slowed things down, I'm guessing, take some of the offcuts that are bent, cut a little strip, let's give it a try. So this is all on the fly now, we're into unknown territory. Let's check it's working, there we go. Give that if it's not gone cold yet. There you go. What I normally use for this is tape. I'll just get that round and on. Let that glue itself in. There we go. And if you do that along the whole length of this, then obviously, oh, it's not quite. There we go. Stockinette involved. There we are. Oh, at the end, a bit more glue perhaps. There you go. We've got our shape. Let's turn it over so it looks a bit tidier, but we've got the shape that we require. So a reasonably straightforward operation, even when things go a bit wrong, which is why I shall edit something together from this rather than hide it away for a perfect one another time. You can see it works relatively well. It's given the armourer precisely what's needed, which is a true form of the limb that's going in it. If you're wearing a gambeson, if you're doing it with mail, put the t-shirt and that sort of stuff over the mail so it actually gives your shape to the person, the full size, rather than a sort of 3 or 4 inch slimmer version of you. If you're wearing stuff underneath your armour and so on, put this over the top of it so you've got that proper shape. At least that's what I've found, particularly with bodies and upper arms and so on if you're wearing mail. And padded gambesons, particularly they're a bane. So there you go. Hope that's useful one way or another, and I'll see what I can edit together from the mess that has been this presentation. Thanks for persevering with me, and I hope I haven't put you off this too much. It's an absolutely wonderful tool, and that will be invaluable for me if I was, say, making a German gauntlet, something like that, where I want it to be really form-fitting towards the top there. That would be a fantastic aid, particularly with the shape of the knuckles if I'd have gone into that there. So good luck, happy armouring, and my batteries run out.